Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. A Darby High School senior is in custody today after other students reported him making threatening social media posts referencing the deadly school shooting in Florida last week.
MTN's Augusta McDonald joins us live in the studio now with more on the arrest and how sharp-eyed students played a role in this. Augusta.
Thanks, Jill. Dennis, school administrators told me today that when students began reporting concerning social media posts, they began an investigation that led them to believe there was a credible threat. Sheriff's officials say that as more information was received, the threat was deemed serious and credible enough to require bringing the suspect into custody to assure safety for the community. Ravalli County Sheriff Steve Holton says 18-year-old McLean William Kaiser has been arrested and booked into Ravalli County Jail for felony assault with a weapon. He's being held without bond after being arrested this afternoon. Kaiser is accused of making a post on social media that led concerned parents to report him to Darby school administrators over the weekend, who alerted the Darby Marshal's office. Sheriff's officials say the student was suspended over the weekend after their investigation and that he did not go to school today. No other students are suspected to be involved with the social media posts that school administrators say sensationalized the shooting that killed 17 at a Florida high school last week. School admins say they took the reports from students seriously and encouraged them to say something if they see something concerning.
One of the things that we heard after the Florida shooting was the idea if you see something, say something. And so we were going to start our week off this week planning to get that message out to our kids, and then that's exactly what happened over the weekend.
Superintendent Renneker says deputies will be at the school all week to make sure students and families feel safe. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Augusta. Kaiser is expected to be arraigned in Ravalli County Justice Court within the next few days. We'll have more information on this developing story as it becomes available. Meantime, the suspected gunman in last week's school shooting in Florida makes his second court appearance today.
Nicholas Cruz, accused of killing those 17 students, people including some staff at that high school in Parkland, Florida. Today, the couple who took in the school shooting suspect opens up about their time with Cruz. Chris Martinez continues our coverage tonight.
Nicholas Cruz returned to court Monday. He kept his head down throughout the hearing and did not speak. A troubling picture of the 19-year-old has emerged since his arrest Wednesday. A law enforcement source tells CBS News Cruz bought 7 rifles within the last year, including the AR-15 he allegedly used in last week's massacre. Since 2011, Broward County Sheriff's deputies were called to Cruz's home 39 times. In September 2016, Florida's Department of Children and Families visited Cruz and his mother following a report of medical neglect. An investigator determined Cruz suffered from depression, ADHD, and autism. He'd cut his arms in a Snapchat post and placed hate messages on his backpack. Cruz even said he was planning to buy a gun. But the agency found no evidence of neglect. In a statement, the DCF said mental health services and supports were in place when this investigation closed. After Cruz's mother died in November, he began staying with the family of a friend.
Before he moved in, one of the stipulations is he had to get a gun safe. And we got a gun safe on the way back from Lantana from moving his stuff to our house.
And he didn't have free access to this gun safe?
No, I thought I had the only key to the gun safe.
The FBI has apologized for failing to follow up on a tip it received last month. A caller reported Cruz owned a gun and wanted to carry out a school shooting. That information was never passed on to an agent. Chris Martinez, CBS News.
And coming up later, we'll tell you how Montana law enforcement officers are getting involved in training the public against armed intruders.
All right, so how many adjectives can we use to describe today's weather? Cold, obviously. Frigid, bitter, freezing, awful. Yes, it's February, and we know this is what happens when you live in Montana this time of year. And these below temperatures are not going away. For a look at what we can expect for Tuesday, let's check in now with meteorologist Russ Thomas. He has
Old Man Winter struck hard across western Montana this weekend, and now the big story, of course, is the very cold temperatures, wind chills as well, though that aspect will be kind of slowly going away as well. It's just going to be the awful frigid, all the words you said, Jill. Air temperatures we have there 9 right now, Kalispell, 10 in Polson, 8 in Sealy, 3 in Phillipsburg, a little warmer in Troy, 21 degrees. Now we factor in the wind chill out there in many spots. We're actually already at or below 0, but again, winds are calmer than what we saw yesterday and this morning. Satellite radar image, we're going to see a mostly clear sky for many overnight, so those temperatures are going to drop. We'll have more coming up in a few minutes.
We now know the name of the lost skier searchers are looking for on Big Mountain.
The missing skier has been identified as 62-year-old Dr. Jonathan Scott Torgerson from Columbia Falls. Torgerson is a longtime practicing physician at North Valley Hospital, as well as an experienced backcountry skier. The search is in its third day and is centered in an out-of-bounds area just to the northeast of the ski resort. Several organizations, including Search and Rescue, the Nordic Ski Patrol, Two Bear Air Rescue, and other volunteers were out at the crack of dawn today continuing the search. Flathead County Sheriff Chuck Curry says they're thankful for a break in the weather after high winds, snow, and low visibility hampered search efforts significantly over the weekend, both in the air and on the ground. Torgerson was reported to have been skiing alone in the Flower Point area of Whitefish Mountain Resort. Curry says time is of the essence, and they are using as many resources as they have to find him.
We've got probably around 24, 25 actual skiers and searchers on the ground. In addition, of course, to a search from the air. There's a chance the missing man may have had a avalanche beacon on transceiver, so we're coordinating that from the air. We have the ability to locate and find those beacons.
Curry is also saying thank you to all the volunteers who are putting in countless hours in this ongoing search. Well, the cold front that pushed through the western half of the state did enough damage to Charlotte schools that they got the President's Day off unexpectedly.
MTN News' Connor McCauley went to Charlotte to check it out and joins us live now in the studio with the latest. Connor?
Thanks, Jill and Dennis. Initially, Charlotte schools were going to be delayed by 2 hours this morning, allowing the roads to clear and make it safer for buses to transport. But this morning, the head janitor of the school discovered the boiler that heated the school wasn't working. Because the elementary and high school had no heat and temperatures were well below freezing, Superintendent Steve Love canceled school for the day. Luckily, with the help of the staff at Charlotte, children can expect to have school tomorrow.
We've got a great staff and great parents. We hate to cancel school. Kids do best when they're in school on a regular basis, but it was just one of those things we had to take an emergency day. Our crew's been great, teachers have been great, so I'm real thankful for the crew we work with.
Charlotte chose to have class on President's Day so they could take Friday off to attend divisional basketball tournament games. Now the students get both. Back to you.
All right, Connor, thank you. In other news, the town of Whitefish spent a lot of winter cheering on Maggie Voisin in her preparation leading up to the 2018 Winter Olympics.
But the town also hosted a former Olympian earlier this month to lead their Winter Carnival Grand Parade. MTN's Jack Ginsburg goes on special assignment to tell us the story of Michael Edwards, an Olympic ski jumper who turned his unlikely childhood dreams into reality.
Michael Edwards was born in Cheltenham, England in 1963. Edwards took a school ski trip one year and was fascinated with the sport ever since.
And that was the start of a wonderful 40 years of skiing and having fun.
Edwards moved to Lake Placid and began to pursue the sport there, racing in slalom and GS internationally. When he wasn't skiing, he was working for money or food to fuel his ski racing dreams.
Cut grass in the summer, shovel snow, wait tables, bit of washing up, scrubbing floors, all that kind of thing. And I scraped food out of bins, I slept in the car, I slept in cow sheds, I did all kinds of things just so that I could stay out there and carry on my skiing and then eventually my ski jumping.
Eddie ended up making the switch from ski racing to ski jumping because of the lower cost. He trained hard for months, leading up to what he says is one of his proudest life moments.
And started jumping in France and Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Norway and Finland. And then finally, I managed to qualify for the Olympic Games in Calgary in 1988 and became Britain's first and last Olympic ski jumper.
Eddie competed in and finished last in both the 70-meter and 90-meter events.
I knew that I wasn't going to do very well because I'd only been jumping for 20 months. Everybody else had been jumping for 20 years.
However, fans loved him. His failures seemed to resonate with people around the globe.
For me, just getting there was my gold medal. And I was going to enjoy every single second of being at those Olympic Games.
He was cheered on throughout the games and after became a media celebrity, earning himself the nickname Eddie the Eagle.
And having the crowd there, and they were just shouting and screaming and shouting, Eddie, Eddie. It was just incredible, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
Since the games, Eddie has been traveling the world, participating in various ski-related events. This winter, he came to Whitefish to be the Grand Marshal of the 59th Annual Winter Carnival. Eddie spent the entire week here signing autographs, getting to know the community, and even speaking to high schoolers.
Just his overall story of not being very good and then coming up to go to the Olympics for the Great Britain team was an amazing story. So.
It wasn't just photo opportunities, talking to students, signing autographs, and marching down Central Avenue as the most important person in the parade. Eddie the Eagle also got to do some skiing up here on Big Mountain with a fellow competitor from the 1988 games, Whitefish's own Hillary Lind. Lind and Edwards carved up the mountain for a few hours and reminisced on the 1988 Calgary Games.
We had the guy, Baxter, who came second or something, and then
Eddie ended the week by rolling through the streets of Whitefish on one of the city's biggest days, again hearing the people and fans calling his name. Jack Ginsburg, MTN News, Whitefish.
Still a hero. Still ahead here on KPAX. How long are these bitterly cold temperatures going to stick around? Russ tries to answer that question in a few minutes.
And after the break, we'll take a look at how law enforcement officers around Montana are training to keep us safe from armed intruders. Still ahead here on KPAX.